Senator Carper, you are recognized for your questions.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Chairman. I wear a couple of hats today. One of them is that of a naval flight officer on active duty in the Vietnam War, stationed at Moffett Field, California, where we shared a base at just near Mountain View, California. Shared it with NASA. And we had one day I was driving into work. This is like 30 some years ago. And we had two runways, dual runways alongside of each other at Moffett Field. And early in the morning, Navy P-3 coming into lands, 13-man aircraft, and a big NASA plane. And the flight controller put both airplanes on the same runway to land. And the NASA aircraft landed right on top of the Navy P-3 aircraft, killed everybody on board. And I arrived at the base like 10, 15 minutes after that. The fire departments came rushing out to put out the fire to try to save as many lives as they could. Some success, but I think only one member of the crew survived. Fast forward about 30 years, I'm driving down south through Dover, Dover, Delaware, on State Route 1, going right alongside of Dover Air Force Base. We have big airplanes there, C-5s, C-17s, and the C-7, C-5 had just taken off a few minutes before I got there, and they had taken off with had engine problems. They tried to get back and land on the base at Dover Air Force Base. Landed about a mile short of the base. The fire departments rushed out, foamed the airplanes, trying to save as many lives as they could, and we had no fatalities. No fatalities. That's the good news. The bad news at Dover is there are like 4 communities around Dover Air Force Base that now have contamination from PFAS and PFOA. So you got a substance that actually developed to try to save lives as firefighting foam, and it ends up taking a lot of lives and putting people at risk. But with PFAS contamination confirmed, I think at about 400 military bases around the country, there's a lot of impact and a lot of concern to go around, including my own state. While DOD's activities will be a clear focus of the first panel, I know contamination associated with military installations will be a major focus for our second panel as well. As the chairman of the Senate Environment and Public Works Committee, I fully realize the critical importance of PFAS contamination, and I'm all too aware of the ongoing impact that these toxic forever chemicals have on countless communities across the country, including my own. I also want to note the complete absence of federal limits on these toxic substances that sent many states scrambling to protect their communities and resources. Many states have had used limited resources to set state-specific standards, a move which could end up creating a patchwork of regulatory requirements that could hamper an effective national effort to manage a nationwide public health. In response to the serious lack of federal protection, I'm working with my colleagues on the Environment and Public Works Committee to address, and a bunch of other Senate colleagues on Senate legislative package to address PFAS contamination, building off the EPA's recent PFAS strategic roadmap and a thoughtful PFAS package passed by the House. They call it the PFAS Action Act. I personally feel a great sense of urgency to take steps that will hopefully provide relief to affected communities, families, and particularly our most vulnerable infants and children who so desperately need. Again, I want to express our thanks to this committee for holding this hearing today. And with that as a preface, well, we have some idea of how many installations are affected by PFAS contamination. I don't see any evidence from the IG report. The DOD has estimated the number of service members exposed to PFAS who made any effort to contact them. My question, Mr. O'Donnell, is this. Thank you very much for being with us and for wearing a couple of different hats yourself. But is that a fair read of your report? And Mr. Kidd, is that an accurate assessment of DOD's level of knowledge? Go ahead. Mr. Kidd and Mr. O'Donnell, please.
I'll defer to Mr. Rourke, who was the project lead for this.
Can you speak louder?
Yes, sir. This is the Inspector General. I'm going to pass to the Deputy Inspector General on the specifics of the report.
All right.
So the 2019 NDAA required that the Secretary of Defense assess the implications of human health exposure to PFAS. Our Defense Health Agency and the Department of Defense took several steps to carry out that requirement that was in the law. Specifically, they estimated the number of service members, including veterans, and that was made up of National Guard, active duty, and DoD firefighters who may have been exposed to PFAS So our Defense Health Agency within the DoD would have the statistics in response to that 2019 NDAA requirement.
So
Amy?
I'd like to
Go
thank
ahead.
Senator Carper for reminding us a little bit about why we use AFFF or used AFFF in the Department of Defense. It saves material and it saves lives. It was brought into the department after a major loss of life on a Navy aircraft carrier. And we have used it subsequently to address a number of fires and incidents. I went down to Florida, to Air Force Tyndall Air Base where they train, and I met with the firefighters. And it's amazing when they have the AFFF foam trucks, they plan to attack the fire. They train as if there's an aircraft that's on fire with people in it, and they attack the fire. And that's, frankly heroic. I see all the incidences of PFAS use, release, intentional or otherwise, that have occurred in the last 10 months since I've been there. And one of the stories was a Bradley fighting vehicle loaded with ammunition was on fire. And the firemen drove right up to the vehicle and used AFFF foam, risking their lives in that instance. That said, I've also seen reports where we have accidentally released AFFF and caused caused the need for cleanup. In regards to cleanup, right now we are tracking 699 sites where there's been potential PFAS use or exposure. Those all 699 are in the CERCLA process, so that's reviewing them. We've completed the initial phase of that process on 190 installations. Of those 190 installations, 75 were found to have no evidence of PFAS use, so they have been put to a side. And the others are moving into the next step of the CERCLA process, which will allow better definition of the problem and also allow for some of those interim response activities that we talked about earlier. We will complete the first phase of the CERCLA process, barring anything unforeseen, on all the Department of Defense installations by the end of 23, and then we will continue to move those through. As we complete that first phase, that will inform our budget requests that we will take to our authorizers and appropriators.
Thanks for that response. Mr. Chairman, my time has expired. I'd like to have, if I could, 20 seconds to just ask a question for the record, and that question would be to ask of Secretary Kidd, please share with us the immediate challenges that the department faces in establishing an enterprise-wide risk management strategy for addressing PFAS contamination. And additionally, are there actions that Congress could take that would assist DoD with establishing such an approach? Thank you. Thank you all for being with us. Thank you for your work on this. Mr. Chairman, our committee, EPW committee, looks forward to working with you hand in glove and with HSGAC. Thank you.
Thank you.